Harley-Davidson did not lose money on the electric bike, at least not at first. Dealers did. This video is not about whether electric motorcycles are good or bad. It is about a business decision and how that decision quietly transferred risk from the factory onto dealership floors. When Harley-Davidson announced its first electric motorcycle, it was framed as the future, a necessary leap, a bold reinvention of the brand. What almost no one talked about was how expensive that future would be, and who would be forced to pay for it. While the company made headlines, dealers were signing floor plan agreements, ordering inventory, and watching interest charges pile up on bikes that almost no one wanted to buy. Today, we're going to walk through how the electric Harley experiment unfolded, why it landed so badly at the dealership level, and how one strategic decision nearly bankrupted some dealers. By the end, you will understand why many dealerships never want to be early adopters again. To understand how the electric Harley became a dealer problem, you have to understand the pressure the company was under. For years, Harley-Davidson faced the same criticism: aging buyers, shrinking market share, and a brand image tied almost entirely to the past. Internally, executives knew something had to change. Doing nothing was not an option. Electric motorcycles were not chosen because Harley riders demanded them. They were chosen because the market narrative demanded them. Regulators were tightening emissions rules, investors wanted growth stories, and every major manufacturer was talking about electrification. For Harley-Davidson, going electric was not just a product decision. It was a signaling decision. It told Wall Street that we are not a dying brand. It told regulators that we are forward-looking. And it told the media that Harley-Davidson can still innovate. But innovation comes with a cost, and someone always pays it. The electric bike was positioned as a flagship, not an experiment, not a limited test, but a full commitment. That meant premium components, cutting-edge technology, and a price that assumed early adopters would line up. What executives underestimated was how different electric adoption looks inside a motorcycle dealership. Harley is not a tech company. Its customers do not replace products every 2 years. They buy emotionally, they buy identity, and they buy familiarity. Electric bikes challenge all three, and while the factory could absorb slow adoption, dealers could not, because once the decision was made, the next step was not optional. Dealers were expected to carry it, finance it, display it, and explain it, long before the market proved it could sell. And that is where the real risk entered the system. From the moment the electric Harley was announced, its fate was quietly sealed by one number: the price. Harley-Davidson did not introduce the electric bike as an affordable entry point. It introduced it as a premium statement. The logic made sense on paper: new technology, high development costs, and the need to protect brand prestige. But pricing is not just math, it is psychology. When the electric Harley arrived at dealerships, it carried a price tag higher than many fully loaded touring bikes. For a traditional Harley buyer, that immediately raised red flags. This was a motorcycle with no engine sound, no gear shifting, and no long-distance touring credibility, yet it cost more than bikes designed to cross states. Harley tried to position it as a performance machine with fast acceleration, advanced electronics, and cutting-edge engineering. But that message clashed with reality. Performance riders compared it to sport bikes and found it heavy and limited. Urban riders liked the idea, but not the price. And loyal Harley riders felt alienated. Instead of creating a new audience, the electric Harley sat between audiences. It was too expensive for curiosity buyers, too unfamiliar for loyalists, and too compromised for performance enthusiasts. And this is where the dealership problem began. Because once a bike fails to clearly match a buyer, it does not just sell slowly. It does not sell at all. Electric bikes require explanation, education, and test rides. But dealers quickly realized that every hour spent explaining the electric Harley was an hour not spent selling something else. And while the factory could frame this as long-term brand building, dealers were watching interest charges accrue on bikes that did not move. The price did not just slow demand, it froze it. And frozen inventory is the most dangerous thing a dealership can hold. Most people think dealerships lose money only when they sell a bike at a discount. That is not how it works. Dealers start losing money the moment a bike arrives on the floor. Almost every new motorcycle in a dealership is financed through something called a floor plan loan. The dealer does not pay cash up front. They borrow the money and pay interest every single month until that bike is sold. For normal bikes, this system works because inventory turns quickly. But the electric Harley did not turn. The first month passed, then the second month, then the third month. Interest kept accruing, even though the bike never moved. And this was not a cheap motorcycle. A high price meant higher loan amounts. Higher loan amounts meant higher interest, and higher interest meant real cash drain. Dealers quickly realized they were paying thousands of dollars just to let electric bikes sit on the floor. And unlike gas bikes, they could not easily demo them or rotate interest through test rides. Electric motorcycles require charging, special explanations, and buyer confidence, all of which slowed the process even more. Some dealers tried discounting early, but that created another problem. Discount too soon, and you train buyers to wait. Do nothing, and the interest keeps compounding. Worse, discounting a premium electric bike hurt the perception of the entire lineup. Customers started asking, if Harley is discounting this, what else is overpriced? Then came the second hit: trade-ins. As electric bikes sat unsold, used bike values softened. Customers bringing trade-ins expected higher numbers, but dealers could not afford them. Deals fell apart, not because buyers walked away, but because the math no longer worked. Cash flow tightened, credit lines shrank, and some dealers reached a breaking point. They had money tied up in bikes they could not sell, while still needing cash to reorder models that actually moved. For smaller dealers, this was devastating. One bad electric decision did not just cost them profit, it blocked their ability to do normal business. And this is where the damage spread, from one product to the entire dealership. By the time some dealers realized the electric Harley was not going to move, the damage was already spreading. Unsold inventory does not sit quietly. It changes behavior. Sales staff stopped pushing the bike, because every failed conversation hurt morale and wasted time. Marketing budgets were redirected away from the electric bike toward models that actually converted, which made the electric bikes sit even longer. Service departments faced a new challenge. Service teams had to adapt fast. Electric motorcycles required different training, different diagnostic tools, and different workflows. Dealers invested in certification and equipment before knowing whether sales would justify it. That investment did not disappear just because the bikes did not sell. Then came the relationship strain. Dealers began questioning future product rollouts, promises, and volume expectations. When a manufacturer pushes a product that clearly does not match the market, trust erodes. Some dealers became cautious, ordering fewer units across the board. Others went the opposite direction, over-discounting, trying to move inventory at any cost, which depressed prices regionally. This created tension between dealers. One store discounting aggressively forced neighboring dealers to respond or lose buyers. What began as a single product problem turned into a market-wide pricing issue. And while Harley eventually spun the electric bike into its own brand, that decision came too late for many dealers. The bikes were already financed, already sitting, already costing money. The strategic pivot protected the company, but it did not erase dealer losses. And the lesson stuck. For many dealerships, the electric Harley became the moment they realized being early to a strategy shift can be far more dangerous than being late. Not every Harley dealership was nearly broken by the electric bike decision. The ones that survived shared a few key traits. They ordered cautiously, often resisting pressure to stock deeply. They leaned heavily on service and parts, where margins are stable. They treated the electric bike as a display piece, not a volume product. Smaller dealers and those already operating on thin margins were not as lucky. For them, even a handful of unsold electric bikes tied up enough capital to create serious stress. Some were forced to refinance, some delayed expansions, and some quietly exited the business. Not because sales stopped, but because cash flow did. The electric Harley changed dealer behavior in ways that still matter today. Dealers became skeptical of bold experiments. They demanded proof before committing inventory, and they started protecting themselves from being the testbed for corporate strategy shifts. This is why today you see fewer bikes on floors, more conservative ordering, and a heavier focus on models that are proven sellers. The electric bike was supposed to represent the future of Harley-Davidson. Instead, it became a lesson. Innovation is not free, and when risk is passed downstream, someone pays the price. In this case, it was the dealerships that nearly went under, and that is why, even years later, the electric Harley decision still shapes every ordering decision made behind closed doors.